Welcome back. This is part 2 of our video series. Last week we talked about the site conditions we were working with. This week is probably the most important milestone that we're going to hit, and that's finishing up the core and shell. What we're doing here is finishing up the erection, and this is the second to last column that's going to go up. As you can see, we're going to connect this column. It's going to go right here. We're going to get it, connect this beam across the top, and then we've got this last one here that just got grouted. So we can't set that down for right now because of the grout was just set about half hour ago. It should be done in about 2.5 hours. The boys are going to go ahead and get this prepped. Danny's down there working the bolts in and off. So a lot of times what happens when we're looking at these base plates, the concrete guys set these base plates for us. Might get a little bit loud. The concrete guys set these base plates for us. I'm going to jump down real quick. What happens is inevitably they get concrete inside of these threads here. So what we're having to do is go ahead, run these threads down, clean them up, because as you can see, this one's going to have to be cleaned up as well. So we're going to run this down, and they've got an impact, and it'll clean all of this out. Then we'll bring it up, we'll brush it off, just so there's no rocks underneath here. As you can see, there might be a little debris inside there. So what we're going to do, we're going to brush that off, and then we're going to go ahead and get that set. Going to try and get out of here, and the fellas are trying to get this set. Steve's got it up top. Fits in like a glove. See, and since we already cleaned the threads off of those posts, it's going to be a lot nicer once we go ahead and set that column up. And now we've got this post freestanding. Next order of business is go ahead, get this choker off, and then we're going to go ahead and connect this beam from here to the top of this column. Well, we had to build our new point of access. We actually lost it here last week when they finished the foundation. So our new point of access is right over here, while they actually finished this last portion of the foundation. And they actually had to put in 3 more piers that we needed to get into for all of our columns and beams. What we're looking at is a 112 pitch building, which means it's going to carry a lot of live load. And when I'm saying that, the live load is the snow that can come in and out of season for us here in Northern Illinois. You don't necessarily have to take that into account when you're in southern states or anything, but on this particular building with such a low pitch, it's going to take a lot of snow on there, and that snow's not really going to dive off. So what's going to have to happen is that these columns here and these beams are engineered for a certain PSI that it can hold over time. And I'm sure that that's been taken into account when this was engineered. We've got a little bit of a cantilever over here, but then it catches itself right here. So they've got to build a beam that just comes over to this other side right about here. So we have to connect a couple of beams before we throw them up. Gonna go ahead and use our pick and our treated bolts. Get these connections together. These are torqued to a certain spec. I don't necessarily know it offhand, but it's engineered for a certain spec. And then what will happen is connect these to this right here. And then this will sit right in here. And if you really can't see it, but this roof, like I said, is at a 1 pitch, so that's 1 foot over 12 feet. So it's just a slight pitch on, and I guess I'm looking at it this way, it's just a slight pitch at the top of this column right here. As they've set the other side, they know the center point of the pick, so that when Steve picks this up, this thing doesn't kick like this. So they might have to adjust it a couple times just for the weight, so that when he picks it up, he's got it completely balanced. Kevin's trying to balance this side out so that when he lifts it, he can just set it right on top of that column. George has got his pick in this side, so that closed a little bit of the gap. Steve will go ahead and lift this up on this column here. That end over here will then get closer and closer and close the gap. George will throw a bolt in it, get it bolted together, and Danny will start his right here. As you can see, he's got his pick, he's putting it in that hole there. They've both got it in now, so what they'll do is they'll start working around all of their bolts on the top of this column and on the side of this beam. George is gonna come grab this choker right here in the center. He's gonna take that off. That'll then be secure. We'll come a little bit later here today. We'll get this one set up. We'll get this one set up. We'll connect from here to this beam that'll be here, to this corner here, and then get this one thrown in right there. That'll be our whole entire erection process with this building. They'll then come throw in the joists all the way across in these last 2 bays, and then we'll have it all taken care of as far as the core and shell. We're gonna go ahead and land this joist right now. Luis has got the tag line right on this west side. What's gonna happen is Danny's gonna catch this east side right here. He's gonna land this east side while Luis gives the tag line over here. What we're also gonna do is we're gonna keep this choker in place until it's set. So the guys will go ahead and bolt it through, and then Danny will come and take this choker off. Like I said, he's gonna catch this side over here. This guy will hand off the tag line over here. Then they'll go ahead and bolt it together. Now we've got it just, it's free. We've got it just supported in the center here. The guys are gonna go ahead and land it, move it to where they need. Tell them I'm timing them too. That's how much time they got. Right now they're at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That's how much time they got to set each one. We'll reverse engineer this building. And Danny's gonna move to the center. He's gonna go ahead and take that choker off. To the next one. We got about 4 more, and then we're setting that center section over the bays. The trickiest part of this build is going to be this bay where it dives off, and we've got about a 6 pitch over here on this driveway. We're at a trucking and freight company, so this is gonna be their next set of bays for more trucks, and obviously they're expanding right now. So we're gonna have to figure out a way that sometimes we can reach some of these trusses. So we'll have to figure it out what we're gonna have to do here. We might have to get a crane, I'm not sure yet, but it's something that we've kind of been figuring out. They haven't had the ramp finished yet, so we haven't been able to get in there to kind of develop a plan. We have an idea of what we're gonna do, and that might end up being getting a crane out here so that we can actually get the extension that we need once the forks are all the way up and we've got it choked off. As we're finishing up the core and shell, the next order of business is to get the insulation and the roof sheathing done. So since this site doesn't really have anything on the outside for us to be able to use or park any materials, what we're having to do is put the roof sheathing up there as we go ahead and build this thing. So it's gonna be important for the next milestone, once we're there, that we've already got this place up with material stocked and ready to go.